Hello my dear gardeners. 10 good advice how to help our plants to live through the heat wave during these beautiful days of summer. Advice number 1. You have to know the signs of heat stress. What are the signs? Wilting of leaves. The next sign, the plant decides to yellow the bottom leaves, then leaves might be dropping, the edges of the leaves might be dying off and look like scorched from the sun. So I have two plants, well actually one plant growing on two sides of my property here. Let's look here. This is sweet potato vine. Right here it is nice and fresh looking because it's not sunny, so my sweet potato vine perked up again. When sun was here, sweet potato vine leaves were all drooping. So that's actually a healthy mechanism of the plant to defend itself from the evaporation loss, from water loss through the leaves. But if the shadow comes and your plant is looking nice and healthy, it means that your plant is fine. It's not the heat stress. Let's look on another side. Look at this potato vine, sweet potato vine on this side. Sun is beaming on this seating area here. And look at the drooping leaves here. I don't worry about this sweet potato vine. I know it has plenty of water in its container and leaves are quite droopy, right? I know the sun is going to go behind our house. My sweet potato vine will perk up again. So this is a good defensive mechanism. But if the shadow comes and your plant looks miserable, then you should worry and you should understand that you have to take actions. And what would be the actions? Usually water, water, water. And if you are growing your plants in the pot, then the saucer underneath is a must, and water in that source should be through the day. So if plant is big, like my sweet potato vine, it requires a lot of water. So you want to make sure that you water twice a day, not once a day. And make sure that your plants are hydrated. So that's advice number 1. Advice number 2. Mulch, mulch, mulch. And mulching is very American way of gardening. When I came from Ukraine, in Ukraine people don't really mulch, and evaporation happens through the open soil a lot. Here, look at this little baby rose. I made sure that all this area is, well, weeds are popping up, but I made sure that all this area is well covered. The soil is covered with mulch. It helps keep the soil cool. Evaporation is not happening so fast, and as a result, our plants are happy. Advice number 3. Deep and consistent watering. Just recently I was walking in the neighborhood and I saw this lady just doing very comfortable swooshing of water over all the plants, and she was just moving through the garden so quickly. Look, I'm going to put, this is my new baby rose, and I'm putting 4 gallons of water under this rose. 2 gallons in this watering can, and I'm going to do another one. So water goes deep and roots are following the water. They're not staying shallow because you're doing just little drippings here and there. So it helps actually the plant to live through the heat of summer because roots are so deep and moisture is on the deeper levels, and the presence of moisture is there more often than on the shallow level of the soil. So that's advice number 3. Advice number 4, focus on diseased potted plants or young plants. Here on my patio, I do have a lot of potted plants, so I make sure that I water them well, and the plants which are sensitive to the drought, they have sources underneath. And which plants are suffering here? Is this Coreopteris? Well, Coreopteris doesn't really like to be in tight headquarters, right? That thing is a little bit too small for its roots, and you see the yellowing of the leaves? That's a sign of the heat stress. The same with this mint, which I'm asking to grow in such a small container. You see the yellowing of the bottom leaves? This is a sign of the heat stress. Maybe I will replant this mint, or maybe I will just rely on its tenacious growth habit and just grow here in this pot, plus the saucer. So young plants which cannot stand up for themselves, which have really small root system, Potted plants are more sensitive, so you have to pay attention to those. Or disease plants, because they are suffering, and any extra pressure on their system, just like humans, right, will be problematic. Advice number 5, try to group containers together. For example, here, look at this grouping here. I know that these plants, this basil is growing in small container, right? And plus we have very hot surface, this artificial wood here. So I'm hiding it in the shade of this bigger plant here. And I'm grouping plants together into one saucer. This way they can drink the water from one container. The saucer is big, it can host a lot of water. And there is extra shadow. The top of the plant is in the sun, what basil loves, right? But the bottom is in the shade from another container. Advice number 6, you don't want to fertilize the plant when it is stressed. And heat stress is a big stress for the plant. So if you see that the plant is stressed, doesn't look very well, and of course we want all our plants on our patio to look beautiful, you don't reach for the fertilizer the first thing and force that plant to become beautiful again. No, you baby that plant into life with good hydration, no fertilizer, because absorption of fertilizer is also hard work for the plant. And then when the heat wave is over, the plant looks much better, then you do the fertilizer if needed. Advice number 7, invest into the water holding capacity of the soil. And in my garden, soil is huge. Investing into soil is the biggest investment. So how do you do that? How do you increase that water holding capacity? It all depends on your soil, what type of soil you have. Here we have sandy soil here in coastal Connecticut, so I add a lot of organic matter. Organic matter helps the soil to hold on to moisture. And what else I'm going to do next year, this year is a little bit too late with my raised beds because they're so quick to lose that moisture. I'm going to add a little bit of clay, because clay has this big capacity to hold water. There is another bad side effect of too much clay in the soil, but I think in my situation a little bit of addition of clay can solve the problem of dry raised beds. But usually adding clay is not recommended. I'm just playing with my soil. But investing into water holding capacity of the soil is a great thing. Advice number 8. If you want to have easy maintenance garden, you do the plants which are heat tolerant, and there are plenty of them to choose. They can bask on the sun all day long, and among them there are many annuals. Annuals need sun, not much of fertilization. They basically bloom themselves to death. And they don't worry about dry soil, and you don't need to have all that maintenance of watering even twice a day sometimes during the heat of the summer. Advice number 9, don't overreact. The reaction to the heat stress should be consistent. No overreaction, no overwatering to create a waterlogged condition or around the roots of your plant. Just stay consistent, be patient. Plant has a lot of mechanisms to fight the heat stress. Yes, plant might lose some leaves. Yes, plant can become droopy and unhealthy looking. But with a lot of, consistent hydration, the plant will perk up again and will continue living in your garden. And advice number 10, do not panic. That's kind of the same with that advice number 9, but I just want to underline again that our plants lived on this planet for so many centuries. They do have all these wonderful features where they droop, yes they droop, but then they perk up again. They lose their leaves, but it's better to lose the leaf than to die, right? So even if half of the leaves are lost, with consistent care, no panicking, no overdoing or throwing fertilizers on that plant, your plants will recover, and again, with consistent care, they will start thriving again. So these are 10 advice how to keep your garden lush and beautiful through the summer. Have a lovely day, and we will see you in our next video. Happy gardening!